on. I think I'm back. I think I'm back. That took way too fucking long. No, I'm not back. I am back. Am I back? I can't tell. Oh, no one's here to tell me. Okay, that sucks. Okay, I'm just gonna wait for a bit. Just gonna wait for a bit. Okay, it seems to be working. I think it's working. I think it's working. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Ah. Okay, okay. Think I'm okay. I think I'm good. That's annoying. I had 3 viewers and now I have 0. That's fine. It's all good. Well, I'll just keep going and anyone who is here will come back at some point. It's the most annoying thing in the world because it has nothing to do with me. It's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing I can do about my internet. And this is a temporary setup, so I'm using Wi-Fi, so that's also not ideal. Ugh. Okay. Greetings, mortal. Hello. My internet cut out and I was gone for like a good 10 minutes and I lost 3 viewers. So I'm glad someone's here. It's fine. Okay. Just playing some more of this. My mood will be back to normal once I start playing it again. Oh, it's so annoying when it's the internet. You know what I mean? I just want to double check because I can't tell. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Is it cutting out? Is anything going wrong or is it fine? Because I can't tell. I think it's fine. It's fucking internet. I hope our internet is better in the new house, honestly. Ugh. I think it's fine. Yes, yes, no, no, yes. I don't remember the questions I asked, so that's not that helpful. It's all good. Okay, good. I'm glad. Okay, I'm just gonna keep going and hope that whoever was here before will come back at some point. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. You remembered that, did you? What was the last thing they said? I can't remember. I believe I've told you all I can now. Thank you, Mr. Sholmes. Ah yes, Mr. Naruhodo. Was it not your intention to become a practitioner of law? You remembered that, did you? Will you perhaps be offering your services in this very matter, I wonder? To the occupant of this room, Mr. Natsume, was it? I'm not sure. Not sure? On what grounds? Well, I actually defended someone in court here only yesterday. Really? Well then, I congratulate you, sir, on an ambition realised, and so promptly too. The thing is, it's really made me question things. Am I right to believe in my clients? To trust in their innocence? That is really interesting. That is something I loved about the 3rd case yesterday. Yes, trust. Because in the Ace Attorney series, there's only been one person who's actually done something wrong. There's only one person you've defended who was actually guilty. And that proved to be really interesting. But yesterday's case was so interesting because it was the 3rd case and it kind of throws, oh there we go, there's the stream elements thing. It throws the whole thing on its head. Like it turns the whole thing on its head because it's like, well, in this series you're known to always believe in your clients, but sometimes your clients are a bit arseholey, and sometimes your clients are probably guilty of that crime and you don't know what to do about it because you're meant to believe in your client, you're meant to defend your client, but when you have such a strong moral thing, it just gets really complicated. And this guy, it was his first trial where he wasn't defending himself, so it was the first time that he was doing that, and it was very interesting. It's very interesting to explore, and I can't wait to, like, until, at least, you know, the people on Object to This, which is the podcast I listen to, until Stephanie and Michelle play it, and then we might be able to actually have, like, discussions about it. At least I'll be able to hear their thoughts on it and stuff like that, because I'm excited. I love talking about this stuff when it comes to Ace Attorney. Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Natsume didn't do it, did he? My dear fellow, I haven't the first idea. Oh, but I thought that's why you were here. Didn't you come back to investigate? Ah, yes, that was indeed my initial intention, but there are simply too many fascinating books here. I can possibly ignore them. Oh, I see. And nevertheless, there are two facts that I can state quite unequivocally. The man who fled the scene of the crime 2 days ago was the Japanese occupant of this room, and there are witnesses who swear to having seen the same man commit the crime. That is all I can say. Ah, and one more thing. Oh, what is it, Mr. Sholmes? Tell us. I cannot say with any certainty whether or not it is of relevance to this case, but I'm quite sure that the retired army man who owns this property is hiding something. Mr. Garadeb is... Mr. Sholmes said as much before, actually, didn't he? Anyway, at present, that is really all that plays on my mind in relation to this case. Mr. Naruhodo, as yet, our investigations have uncovered nothing that could help establish Mr. Natsume's innocence. No, you're right. Perhaps it's time we probed a little deeper into Mr. Garadeb's secret. Just remember, I cannot be sure whether the landlord's secret will prove to be of relevance or not. But I wish you every success, of course, Mr. Naruhodo. A busy man indeed. He's gone back to his book in the corner of the room. Interesting. Can I still talk to him? Excuse me, Mr. Sholmes. Yes, so true. To be or not to be. That is indeed the question, Mr. Naruhodo. To be or not to be brushed off, that is the question. And the answer is all too clear. Let's leave Mr. Sholmes in peace, shall we? Okay, I don't think there's anything else to look at. No. Okay, let's just move. Let's go to Garadeb's room, actually. I want to see if there's anything else I can do here. Ah, you pair again. And tell me, was the detective chap, I forget his name, still hard at work down there? Mr. Herlock Sholmes? Ah, yes, rings a vague bell. All that detective business isn't really my thing, I'm afraid. Well, Mr. Sholmes is in his element down there. Jolly good show. Another cup of tea, if you please, Joan. Now then, why don't you tell me what... For the umpteenth time, woman, will you watch where you're bally well doing? I shall be serving dinner shortly, sir. Ah, yes, of course. Frightfully rude of me, but I'm afraid I shall have to ask you to take your leave, if you'd be so kind. Oh, yes, of course. We are deeply grateful for all your assistance. Not at all, not at all. Don't get much chance to talk to young foreigners like yourself. It's been a pleasure. And best of luck and all that. And perhaps you could see yourselves out. According to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Garadeb is hiding something. And since no other avenues of investigation seem open to us at the moment, perhaps we should do some digging. How? We've looked at everything. Ah, what's he doing over there? Is that Sholmes? It is Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes! Aha! We meet again, my dear fellows! Good gracious, when did you sneak in here? Herlock Sholmes, sir, at your service. Whatever were you doing over by that window? I am given to watch the evening sky as the sun sets, madam. Yet sadly cheerful as the room downstairs undoubtedly is, it lacks an aperture for such observation. So I took the liberty of borrowing a small corner of space by the window up here. Well, keeping an eye to one's window at dusk is the prudent thing to do in London, I'm gathering. And one other thing, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, me? I thought perhaps you might be in need of a certain great detective's great mind. Wait, he's not talking about, is he? I didn't expect to be going through that again so soon. That sounds a bit gay out of context. Do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? There is a mighty secret in this modest room. My eyes see even the most trivial of trifles. I take it you're prepared, Mr. Naruhodo. I think so. There is just enough time for one of my greatly admired great deductions. Let us conclude the matter before dark. Coolio, coolio. Mr. Garadeb, though it would seem you are a military man of considerable distinguished service, your standing as a landlord is most certainly not what one might call first-rate. I'm afraid, sir, that it's all too clear to me. There are two conclusions I've been able to draw by careful observation of your living arrangements. I beg your pardon? The first is that even as we speak, you are concealing the presence of a ferocious beast in your care. Eh? And the second is that as a result of the beast's violent rampage, you have lost something very dear to you. Mr. Naruhodo, look. The old man's broken out in a cold sweat. Unbelievably, it seems Mr. Sholmes' conclusions are both spot on. How? How could you possibly? How could I possibly know, you mean to inquire? The answer couldn't be simpler, sir. For in the dense jungle of logic and reasoning, I am the king of beasts. And I know only too well that wild beasts are not easily tamed. So, shall we begin? Once again, Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. The great deduction, here we go again. The game is afoot. Nature of the beast. It certainly shouldn't take a great detective to see that a fearsome beast has been on the rampage of late within these four walls. Thus we are faced with the question, what form might this beast take? Ah, for a man with a military breeding, your eyes are uncommonly candid. Your furtive glance, Mr. Garadeb, leads us directly to the answer. The true nature of the beast is that its run rampant here is revealed by that lion statue. Yes, though an army man, you appear unimposing at best. A fact that has fueled your admiration for the mighty lion, the king of beasts. What is this piffle, I ask you? In the end, your admiration became so great, in fact, that you had a living, breathing specimen shipped from India, which you tried to keep in this very house. Yet living with such a wild beast proved more difficult than you had imagined. The chilling traces of a wild rampage are still very much in evidence. Well. Yet as we look around, the beast in question fails to present itself. Where could this angry creature have disappeared to? Madam? Me? I pray you do not consider me unchivalrous, but it is plain to me with one glance in your direction. It is. Your dress pocket gives us a handsome clue as to the beast's current whereabouts. For protruding from it is a handbill advertising a circus show. Ah. Yes, you sought to dispose of this terrifying lion, Mr. Garadeb, at Batty's Circus. A travelling show currently sojourning in a nearby park. I've observed the tents. You sold the savage lion, sir, to the circus troupe. I most certainly did not. I believe I have made my point. The fearsome beast which ran amok in this room was an Indian lion. and a simple visit to the circus now will reveal the lion prancing jubilantly through a ring of fire. I'm going to say that that's probably incorrect, sir. Now, Mr. Garadeb, it is plainly clear that you still have a deep feelings for this formidable beast. Indeed, in that blithe pose, the distress that this loss has caused you is veritably tangible. Your head weighs heavy on your shoulders, the pain you feel being revealed by that supporting arm. Eh? Amid fits of tears, you let your beloved beast go. The strain of losing something so dear to you is clearly visible in your visage. Nonsense, man, I simply... But what we must now ask ourselves is the true cause of this pain. And we need only follow the direction of your gaze to find the answer. Yes, it's the pile of bills that's given rise to the pain you suffer. Every envelope contains another demand for payment. For cartloads of meat, potatoes, wheat, and tea. Indeed, feeding your beloved has been a devastating impact on the financial circumstances of your household. And so you had no choice but to let it go. Yes, well, Now, in a final fit of rage, the ferocious beast carried out one large, unimaginable attack. Unimaginable? The aftermath of which can be clearly seen by observing the carpet over there. A very expensive woolen carpet, if I'm not mistaken. Oh dearie me, what could have caused such a destructive outburst? Ah. This time, madam, I'm afraid it is you who has inadvertently revealed the truth to me. Your wandering eye has settled upon the answer very neatly indeed. Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we need only look at the Tower of Cakes. I doubt that. There is no creature more dangerous on this earth than a beast with an unsatiated appetite. Was it or was it not once said by a certain noblewoman, if they have no bread, let them eat cake? Food is at the heart of all tragedy, in fact. Whatever do you mean? Having tired of the taste of cake, the beast began to stalk its next prey. I'm sure I need not spell out the nature of this final act of destruction carried out by the beast. There is only one logical conclusion. Worked into a frenzy by hunger, the lion attacked and ate the carpet. The teeth marks in the carpet are a perfect match for those of a lion I once saw in India. Really? Carpet gnawed on by the starving lion. I'm guessing that's also not true. Thus concludes Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction of this beastly puzzle. Flawless logic, literally. What's the matter with you, Joan? You're pouring scalding hot tea all over me. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Garadeb. I'm afraid I didn't notice. My deductions can be startlingly sharp. It stands to reason that your cup runneth over. Indeed, my revelations can make people spill tears at times, too. Oh. Mr. Sholmes, sorry to butt in, again, but could I make an observation? Why, certainly, Mr. Naruhodo. What is it, again? Well, your deductions just now. Do you really think a lion could have fit inside a room of this size? Indeed, it is the only explanation for the fact. The terrifying truth all too often lies beyond the realms of common sense. But wouldn't it be an idea to consider what lies inside the realms of common sense as well? But if an uncaged lion had run amok in this very room, surely Mr. Garadeb and his maid would have been hurt. Or worse? Ah, that's where you are stuck. No doubt the former military man held his own against the beast using that large cannon. I thought you said that they sold the lion to the circus. And what about the food? Meat and potatoes are one thing. But I don't believe I have ever heard of a lion that drinks tea. Ah, my dear Mr. Zotto, it occurs to me with some regularity that irrespective of race and breeding, whenever anyone lands on Great British soil, They are infused with a highly appropriate taste for afternoon tea. I've lived here my whole life and I've never enjoyed tea in my life. Oh, what a glorious notion. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, it's your turn to shine again. I had a feeling that was coming. A slight message, that's all. Slight massage. That's all Mr. Sholmes' deductions needs. You can do it. You can do it! Excellent. I've been waiting for my trusty partner in deduction to step forward, Mr. Naruhodo. I don't even know yet whether or not this is going to help with Mr. Natsume's case. Still, uncovering the truth is always worthwhile, whatever the motivation. At least that's what I want to believe. Let us start again. From the beginning. With Herlock Sholmes, logic and reasoning spectacular. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. Certainly shouldn't take a great detective to see. And that a fearsome beast has been on the rampage of late within these four walls. Thus we are faced with the question, what form might this beast take? It's very hot in this room, I need to open the window. But wasps keep coming in, so I don't want to open it too much. It's fine. The sun's going down soon anyway. Ah, for a man with military breeding, your eyes are uncommonly candid. Your furtive glance, Mr. Garadeb, leads us directly to the answer. Literally, wasps. I fucking hate them. I keep spraying them with deodorant, like, trying to guide them out the window. It's not. I don't like wasps. I hate them. The true nature of the beasts that run rampant here is revealed by that lion statue. That is incorrect, sir. I really didn't see the lion thing coming. No, but if you observe Mr. Garadeb's reaction, it rather seems as though some beast did indeed run amok here in this room. Scented wasps. Yeah, because of the deodorant. Yes, something with a very fierce nature. But it couldn't have been a lion transported from India. So what was it then? We must follow Mr. Garadeb's great gaze. That will lead us to the true answer. Okay. I mean, I guess that's the only thing. Oh, photograph frame. Let's look at it at least. That's a person. What's this photograph? Appears to be from Mr. Garadeb's wedding. He looks very happy, doesn't he? He does, but you can't make out his bride. No, how unfortunate. Something must have struck the glass directly over the woman's face. I wonder what happened. Probably best not to delve too deeply here. Newlywed bride. The fuck? Okay, let's look at it, I suppose. The glass is broken, so you can't see the bride's face at all. But no amount of cracks can hide the woman's plump form. I think powerful would be kinder than plump, Mr. Naruhodo. Yeah, she certainly looks that. There's a lot of horsepower there. Not someone you'd want to upset, that's for sure. Oh look, have you noticed her wedding ring? It's very large, isn't it? Yes, that's an unusual design. It looks like some sort of embellished sunflower. Okay. Am I supposed to say that the newlywed bride is what? These are shells for the cannon, are they? What a strange place to keep them. I imagine they have some significance to Mr. Garadeb from his time in the army. Ah, of course. He mentioned a battle to us before, didn't he? Do you remember? He said that he'd been shot in the knee. Perhaps it was one of those that hit him. If around that size it hit his knee, there'd be nothing left of it, or Mr. Garadeb for that matter. Mr. Sholmes has a Persian slipper, and this man has spent shells. Perhaps it's customary in Britain to display, well, rubbish on the mantelpiece. Okay, I'm guessing it must be... I don't know what the fuck else it would be. I kind of want to just present it just to see what would happen, even if it's incorrect. I'm just gonna present it and see what happens.
Take that!
Newlywed bride. Are we seriously saying that this apparent bride is the beast that's been rampaging? The true nature of the beast that's run rampant here is revealed by that newlywed bride. Precisely, Mr. Naruhodo. No other explanation could possibly fit. Wife got hangry. I mean, I guess. I mean, yeah. Shit. I'm confused. Yes, this framed print pictures your wife, Mr. Garadeb. And while we lament the fact that her face is obscured, we can still make out her mighty arms, and note the considerable horsepower they must contain. It's a very strange way of speaking. Oh, indeed, surely any woman of such powerful constitution would be honoured to be described as a beast. Honoured might be stretching a point. Too late, the fact remains that the beast which so clearly savaged this room was your wife, Mr. Garadeb. This chilling traces of wild rampage are still very much in evidence. Well. Yet, as we look around, the beast in question fails to present itself. Where could this angry creature have disappeared to? Madam? Are we still honestly calling the wife a beast? Because it's clearly her, right? Me? I pray you do not consider me unchivalrous, but it's plain to me with one glance in your direction. It is. Your dress pocket gives a handsome clue to the current beast's whereabouts. No. Poor, fragile, defenseless woman is beside herself. Well, I don't know about fragile. Oh, dear. Anyway, Mr. Sholmes is quite right. There's no sign of Mrs. Garadeb anywhere. But it seems there may be a clue as to her whereabouts. A clue that this maid is trying to hide. Oh, there we go.
Take that!
The ring. I was looking for the ring. Your wedding ring gives us a handsome clue as to the beast's current whereabouts. Indeed it does. The flowery band gleaming on your finger gives you away. For it is identical to the one shown in the hand of Mr. Garadeb's bride in this photographic print. In other words, you are no ordinary household maid. No. You are Mr. Garadeb's lucky bride. You are Mrs. Garadeb herself. Oh my word! Why are they trying to hide it? Although, I guess we did have that conversation with Sholmes earlier. About like how if you have a maid, that makes you middle class. And if you have more than one maid, that makes you higher class. So maybe they're just trying to give off the air like they're middle class, but they're really not. Jolly fine detecting, sir. As you rightly summarised, this is the wife, yes, my Joan. Rather let herself go, you might say, but she was a bally corker back. Wow. That was rude, sir. It would appear that you don't live in the most comfortable of circumstances. After all, you are a retired army man, yet you're here in the business of renting out rooms. Tisk. I would assume, therefore, you have insufficient means to employ a maid. Would that be correct? It's not right, I tell you. I was 2nd Lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment. A man has his pride, you know. By golly, it's a sorry thing when a chap can't even afford to have a single maid in his employ. Yes, here in London one is rather judged. A household cannot be considered worthy of society if it employs no staff at all. Though, in my considered opinion, such concerns about appearances are a folly. You mean Mr. Garadeb has his wife work as his maid? And precisely. Am I right, Mr. Garadeb? That's a bit weird, mate. Not gonna lie to you. It's a bit strange. Only in company, obviously, but listen here, this must remain a secret. Tip-top secret, please. It's fucking weird. Also, she went on a rampage? What? I mean, I'm not surprised she pours tea on the guy, but like... give me 2 seconds, sorry. Just getting rid of all the notifications I don't need. Now, Mr. Garadeb. It is plainly clear that you still have deep feelings for this formidable beast. Indeed, in that blithe pose, the distress this loss has caused you is veritably tangible. But it's not a loss anymore, she's stood right there. I'm very confused. Your head weighs heavy on your shoulders, the pain you feel being revealed by that supporting arm. Mr. Sholmes is quite something. He's still calling Mr. Garadeb's wife a beast, literally. Yes, as a woman, that feels rather uncomfortable. Yeah. But Mrs. Garadeb is standing beside her husband as we speak. In other words, he hasn't lost his beloved at all, has he? Oh, how true. So perhaps that supporting arm just seems to be propping up his head. Oh, whoops. Has some other significance then. According to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Garadeb's pain is tangible, though. What could that pose of his really signify? Look at the pipe, I suppose. I doubt it's the pipe. Ooh, nice ring. Kind of confused. Let's look at the pipe, because I don't think there's anything else I can look at. It's a very large pipe, isn't it? Yes, anyone who has something that size hanging out of his or her mouth on a regular basis is sure to have a serious chin like Mr. Garadeb's. But what's that white binding around it all about? Is there anything else to look at? Slapped cheek. Oh shit. Oh my, look at that bright red mark. Gosh, that's quite something, and clearly made by somebody's hand. I get the feeling that this relationship is probably a little bit abusive. Yes, Mr. Garadeb has been slapped in the face, it seems. Hard. I've never seen such a clearly defined mark. Whoever could have done such a thing? Well, there's a very limited number of candidates, I'd say.
Take that!
Your head weighs heavy on your shoulders, the pain you feel being revealed by that slapped cheek. And of course, the deliverer of that impressive mark on your cheek that refuses to fade. Was you, Madame Joan Garadeb? Well, yes. You have been desperate to hide that slap mark on your cheek, sir. Well, yeah. I'm getting some real sketch vibes here, guys. Ugh! How the blazes! How did you work that out, man? Nothing escapes the notice of one trained in the art of observation, my dear fellow. That's why you haven't looked directly at us even once. To keep your other side from view. Oh, well, Now, let us proceed to the next conundrum. Why were you subjugated to such a violent slap? In other words, we must ask ourselves what caused Madame Garadeb to fly into a rage. And we need only follow the direction of your gaze to find the answer. Yes, it's the pile of bills that has given rise to the pain you suffer. Not quite. Didn't Mr. Sholmes say the bills were all for lion fodder? Yes, but now we've established that the lion never existed, which can only mean that the thing responsible for gobbling up all that food was Mr. Garadeb's wife. Mr. Nadahood, oh, she's a person, not a thing. Yes, well, she's also a person who gave her husband a mighty slap round the face. One so hard that it left a perfect hand mark, in fact. Yes, why would a woman want to hit her husband with such force, I wonder? I'd love to know the answer to that question. You know, people can just be abusive, you know. It's not the best thing in the world. Ah, someone must be reading this book at the moment. There's a bookmark here, look. Mr. Garrideb is clearly an avid reader. Oh, wait a minute. I don't think this is a bookmark. Oh no, so it isn't. It's a note written in a woman's hand. Oh, James, I love you. Yours, Mary. Oh! And look, next to the signature here, lip marks made with lipstick. Oh, what a passionate and romantic gesture. Don't get any ideas, Susato-san. Oh dear, I'm sorry. So this bookmark is actually a love note then. Yikes.
Take that!
Yikes. The guy's cheating. Doesn't excuse the abuse, but... Yes, the love note that has given rise to the pain you suffer. Oh, James, I love you. Yours, Mary. Passionate indeed. Oh, look at her. Perhaps the sender of this note to a certain Miss Mary is the fly in the ointment here. Okay, let's not promote this abuse. But I don't know the bally woman. You don't know her? That note wasn't written to me. It was just in the book. I don't know how it got there. It was just in there, you say? That's right, that what I've been saying. Ah. Stop abusing your husband right in front of us. A likely story. Now listen here, Joan, old thing. I explained at the time. I bought that book at a second-hand place, and that note must already have been there. So the previous owner of the book. Of the book was using the note as a bookmark. You mean? That's right. That's what I've been saying. A likely story. For heaven's sake, woman, look at the name. It's written to James. My name, in case you'd forgotten, is John. A likely story. Are you questioning my name now? Let's stop with the fucking abuse, alright? And there we have it. Arose the suspicions of the female heart, and you unleash a beast with a most ferocious bite. Now, in a final fit of rage, the ferocious beast carried out one last, unimaginable attack. The aftermath of which can be clearly seen by observing the carpet over there. A very expensive woolen carpet, if I'm not mistaken. What would have caused such a destructive outburst? This time, madam, I'm afraid it's you who has inadvertently revealed the truth to me. Your wandering eye has settled upon the answer very neatly indeed. Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we need to only look at the Tower of Cakes. I'm guessing not. Sorry, I've not been reading that. But surely Mrs. Garrideb didn't eat the carpet. No, of course not, but there doesn't seem to be any doubt that the state of disarray that the room is in is a result of her wild temper. Carpet, literally. Imagine eating carpet. No, that's true. So this is the last part of Mr. Sholm's deduction that we need to fix. We need only to follow Mrs. Garrideb's gaze, and that will tell us the real answer. A little stringy, yeah. Yeah, I find that carpet tends to be stringy, you know. Alright, let's see what we can see. Yes. Candlestick? There's a candlestick missing. This looks like a very old candlestick, doesn't it? The base looks too small. Surely it's very unstable. It looks to me like even the slightest knock would make it topple over. Oh dear, that would be dangerous. Wait, take a closer look at this. It did topple over. There's only one candle missing. Yes, I didn't notice that before. Why is that, I wonder? Why is one candle of 3 missing from its holder? Well, it's because it's on the floor. It's down here. Okay, let's just present the candlestick then.
Take that!
Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we need only look at the candlestick. Most illuminating, my dear fellow, and of course the only possible way out of this logical labyrinth. Yes, the remnants of a ferocious attack in which the carpet was devoured are clearly visible. Indeed they are. The scorch marks at the edge clearly give the truth away. Scorch marks. It would appear that this room was the scene of a little martial altercation. Mrs. Garrideb's mighty arm muscles left an impression on not only her husband's face, but on the entire room. The force of her strike caused a candle to fall from the holder. And in seconds the carpet was alight and the whole corner of the room in flames. Yes, For the most ferocious beast in this world is neither a violent lion nor a vengeful woman, but fire. Yikes. This whole thing is giving me real, Yikea vibes, if you get what I mean. And in this room, that ferocious beast bared its claws and ran amok. Eloquently put, my dear fellow. So you see, there is but one conclusion here. After the sparks of martial discord flew, this room was the scene of a fire. Domestic abuse go burr, literally. Yikes! Mr. Sholmes, sir, I salute you. The fuck? Carpet scorched by a small fire. Elementary, my dear fellow. It's this dashed long winter nights, you know, nothing to do but read in front of the fire. Luckily, there's a jolly good second-hand bookshop just around the corner. Buy all my old novels there. And in the pages of one particular novel, you discovered some rather illicit material. For which your wife, admonished you harshly, it seems. Don't know about admonished. Demolished might be rather closer to the mark. And beast is most certainly... oh my gosh. Here we go again. And the carpet, was that destroyed by fire when a candle fell on the floor? Man's dead, basically. Happened in the blink of an eye, you know. Afraid to say it was. The whole place filled with smoke. Couldn't see a bally thing. I was caught between the old stick's rage and the raging flames. The endless teapot, literally. There's so much of it. You paint a torrid picture, sir. One that would have been most entertaining. Entertaining? Fuck off, Sholmes! It didn't take long for the fire to spread, of course. The bally furniture started going up as well. We've had to hide the mess behind that screen for the time being. Pull it back. I want to see. Over here, Mr. Garrideb. Well, you have nothing more to hide now, if you'll allow me. Yikes. Had all my favourite old novels in that case, but as soon as the fire got hold of them, that was it. Whoosh, up in smoke. Gosh. Then the wife started hurling things at me. What a terrible sight it must have been. There was I, back up against the window, under heavy enemy fire. Incendiary books coming 10 to the dozen. Worst of it is, I lost my favourite. The book called The Lion's Pride. Interesting. The Lion's Pride. Ah yes, your notorious love of big cats coming through again. I assure you the title didn't influence my choice in the slightest. So the poor man really did lose something dear to him as a result of the ferocious beast's rampage. Can we stop saying beast? It's a bit weird. Mr. Sholmes' deductions turned out to be correct once again. It can only be described as a great British wonder. I tell you, it was total carnage. Flames everywhere and the old stick in full fettle. Out of interest, what time of day was that? Not sure I can remember. It was 2 days ago now. Let's see. Around 5 o'clock, I think. Exactly the time of the incident that we are trying to defend the man for. Not this man, the other man. Natsuke? Something like that. So at exactly the same time, as a terrifying incident was unfolding outside your window on the street below. Even more terrifying on the inside, I can assure you. Well, someone got stabbed and almost killed, so maybe not. The whole of Blighty could have been flattened outside my window at that moment, and I wouldn't have noticed a dashed thing. Oh, really? Mr. Sholmes? Yes, Mr. Naruhodo, what can I do you for? What can I do for you? Well, I think we got to the bottom of Mr. Garadeb's situation now, but what does it have to do with Mr. Natsume's circumstances? I can't help you there, I'm afraid. What? My dear fellow, if you recall, I did say as much from the outset. I warned you that although I knew the retired army man was to be hiding something, I could not be sure whether his secret would prove to be of relevance or not. I just knew you were going to say that. Now, Mr. Naruhodo, you mustn't lose heart. And bear in mind that all things fall into one of only two categories, those relevant to the case and those not. That makes no sense to me. Well, no matter. It is of far greater importance that you make up your mind now. Sorry? Visiting hours at the prison will soon be over. Oh no, is it that time already? If we're to accept Mr. Natsume's case, we have official paperwork to attend to. So that's it. No more time to think. Oh, we're obviously going to, obviously. Perhaps you'd like to betake yourselves into bidding us farewell now. I must prepare supper for Mr. Garadeb. Oh, yes, I'm so sorry. Thank you both very much for your time. Suzaki-san will be waiting for us, and I'm going to have to give him an answer. Whoops, wrong button. Okay. Yeah, let's just move. Let's go to Briar Road first. I want to see if there's anything else here. I don't think there will be. It's time, Mr. Naruhodo. We must hurry back to the prison. Yes, I know. Let's hail a carriage. Oh. What's the matter? Looks like something's going on over there in front of the Garadeb's house. Who the fuck is that? I know thee not, old man. Fool to thy prayers. Who are you calling an old man, you rum-looking niminy-piminy? There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. Who is this Horatio fella, eh? What are you on about? Excuse me? Eh? What the? Who are you now? I'm sorry, it just looked as though there might be some problem here. And my associate here, Mr. Ryunosuke Naruhodo, is a lawyer, you see. Eh? A lawyer? What? If I could be of assistance, I'd be happy to help. I'm from Japan, but I've studied English law. Fine, I'll be on my way for today, but you mark my words. This ain't over yet. And get thee to a nunnery. Do I look like a bloomin' nun to you? I love it. I love it. It's early 20th century Rondelite. Literally! It is. Well, early yeah, no, it is early 20th century. It's late 19th century, so yeah. I do hope you're not injured. Oh, fair Eastern maiden, thou art so gentle, thank you. Thou art so gentle. What was that all about? And there are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. I'm not Horatio either. I forgive the inquiry, sir, but are you a lodger here, in the Garadeb residence? Oh, fair Eastern maiden, thou art so right. Yes, I do dwell in this humble abode. Mr. Garrett had mentioned that they had another lodger, didn't he? This must be the man. Do you happen to know the other lodger who lives on the first floor? Ah, yes, a gentleman named Natsume. Oh, more worthy a pole missed in our battle of words. Near could there be? Never. Sorry, battle, did you say? Who is the stronger, Hamlet or Macbeth? Mr. Natsume and I sparred long into the night. I see. I don't fully understand, but it seems Mr. Natsume and this gentleman are acquaintances, at least. So, fair maiden, so good gentleman. I can tarry here no longer. Fare thee well. Bye, Shakespeare weirdo. I didn't really understand him, but I think he's returned to his room. Seems he's unaware of what's happened to Mr. Natsume, so he can't really help us. With Suzuki-san at the man's lodges, the Garadeb house is certainly full of I can't read. Anyway, I'll go find a carriage. Yes, I'm sure Mr. Natsume is eagerly awaiting our return. Let's hope we can get to the prison before visiting hours are over. Excuse me. Hey! Oh, it's you. You're here. You came. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. I can't believe you came back. I'm so touched. What do you think of the prosecutor in this game? I think he's a bit weird. I think there's a bit of, I don't know. I've only seen him in the last case, in case 3. But he was very, like... I don't know. He gave me a lot of Edgeworth vibes, but it doesn't seem like... You know all the, like, weirdo parts of Edgeworth that you saw in the second case? At the, like, the first half of the second case? The master of yeet, literally. Just yeet stuff everywhere. He does! He threw his glass of wine into the candles in the back. That was cool. I like his animations and, like, his design and shit like that. I think... I don't know. I don't really know what I think of him yet, really. He just seems like a prosecutor. And slams his foot on the desk. That was really weird. That was really weird. I'm not gonna lie to you. Very strange. I think it's just so weird. I also find it a bit weird that he would say, I'm sorry, like, he would do something like, he'd fill his glass with wine and be like, sorry if this is discourteous, but I just have to. And then he continues to do it. And then he does that for every little thing he does, every new animation he has, which is just a bit of a strange thing to do, honestly. But I don't know long-term. I don't know long-term my feelings about him, because he's a strange being. It's so weird, but I can't not laugh, literally. It is so strange. So strange. It was like... It was very weird. I don't really know how to voice my thoughts, really. I don't think I have definitive thoughts on him yet. I think it's going to take... At least this case and maybe the next for me to really understand my feelings towards that guy. Because he's a strange man. And there was the whole thing of, like, people's perceptions of him. Like, because people's perceptions of him seems to be, like, the whole thing about being the Reaper or whatever, and then him, the guy that we spoke to when we first came, here, right, he said, oh no, it wasn't him, it was the inspector who said this, do you really think you saved Mr. McGill did from the last case? Because we defended Mr. McGill did and then he died. Even though we got not guilty, we saved our client. We didn't save him per se, right? And there was the whole implication that the inspector did that it was because of the prosecution. So that's really interesting, and I'm waiting to explore that more. I'm waiting to, like, explore that a bit more and to see what happens. Yeah. Because that's interesting. That's really interesting. So I'm kind of saving my judgments for that guy, really, until I get a bit more, like, I don't know what the word is until I get more from him, really, because he's just prosecuted one case so far and I don't actually know much about him. So yeah. We are so sorry to have kept you waiting, Mr. Natsume. Oh no, think nothing of it. Relax. That look is traumatizing. If I were a cat, I would purr with pleasure at the company of such fine compatriots. Noble, nurturing, never-failing Nipponese. Oh, now, let's not get carried away. I'm not sure if any prosecutor can beat Godot in my eyes. Yeah, Godot was something else. I need to play Trials and Tribulations again. It's been so long. Maybe I'll do it on stream. I'll buy it on Switch and do it on stream when I have my Elgato working, I think, maybe. It depends if streaming this goes well. Oh, now, let's not get carried away. Oh, I quite agree. There is nothing more reassuring than the familiarity of one's native land. On the other hand, it is through friendship transcending international borders that one truly appreciates the fact. Such is my belief, at least. It's you! The miserable, rotten spy, Herlock Sholmes! Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing here? I've no intention of doing anything per se, save for observing, of course. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? Well, having encountered some curious reading material in that gloomful room, and having unmasked the secret identity of that eccentric pair, I decided I should drop in on my way home, see how our divested friend is faring. Gloomful room? At least your accommodation here offers a window, my dear fellow. In that sense, it's the superior option. Well, not really, he's kind of stuck there. Anyway, I must commend you on your taste in books. My day has been a delight and cost me not a penny. Ah, you! How dare you, Herlock Sholmes! Ugh. I've had it. I'm through. I'm at the end of my rope. I should never have come to Great Britain. It was a terrible mistake. Haunted by spirits in those accursed lodgings, no doubt my luck will be cursed in tomorrow's trial as well. My whole life is be damned. What? What are you thinking, Mr. Naruhodo? He mentioned that once before, didn't he? That his lodgings were cursed, I mean. And there is much truth. And there is much truth in Mr. Moustache's words. What? Cursed is a wholly appropriate description, I would say, for the man's lodgings, and indeed for tomorrow's trial. What's that supposed to mean? Ooh, we got sad music that I've not heard before. I love that. That's so strange. There's like a mix of... It's mainly like orchestral, or like... It's probably not a full orchestra, it's probably like a quintet or something, right? Most of this soundtrack, probably. I'm not sure if it's quintet or sextet, but, you know, a small selection of orchestral instruments. That's what most of it is, right? But you also have that... It's not there now, but there was that little synth thing. And they blended that. It worked so well with the strings. I want to get back to it. Hold on. See, that's a mallet. It's not the same thing as the synth was before. Some kind of mallet, some kind of hitting thing. I'm not actually good at instrument recognition. Are those clarinets? I think it was. That's the synth. And it works so well. Oh man, I love that. Sorry, I just geeked out about music for God knows how long. Cursed Trial. I just love the music. I love the music. Mr. Natsume, what did you mean by what you said just now? About the trial tomorrow being cursed? Oh no, why? Why are you looking so grave? You're making me nervous. I was just getting carried away, that's all. I didn't mean anything by it. Oh, I see. That's really agitated him. You don't mean the trial really is cursed somehow? Are you referring to the prosecutor, the Reaper of the Bailey? The Reaper? Oh no, what do you mean? Please, tell me, summarize it succinctly in 16 salient words. Summarize it succinctly, I can't read, in 16 salient words. That's 4. 4 S's. Try saying that 10 times fast. No defendant has ever survived in a trial in which the Reaper stands for the prosecution. Ever. Oh my goodness, can it really be true? That was 16 words exactly. Was it actually? No defendant has ever survived a trial in which the Reaper stands for the prosecution. Ever. It was 16 words. Yesterday, Mr. Naruhodo successfully defended someone against the Reaper, but then, after the trial was over, the defendant passed away in unusual circumstances. Mr. McGill did. I want to know more about that. I don't give a shit about this case, honestly. I want to know more about the other one. I mean, I'm still having fun, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be playing, but I want to know more about what happened in the third case. I feel like this is very much like what happened in SOJ, in Spirit of Justice, where we had a really good third case, then the fourth case was shit, and then we had a really good fifth case. And it's not that the fourth case was shit, it's like if you isolate the fourth case from the game, it's actually very good. And in this case, it's done better than SOJ was, definitely. Definitely. I think that's why I like it better than SOJ was, at least for the fourth case of SOJ. But it's still the same kind of idea of like something really interesting happened at the end of the last case, the entirety of the last case really, and then particularly the end, and then we don't actually get to know more about that. I want to know more about it. What happened? I am impressed, Mr. Zotto. You have an eye for detail. Actually, the Lord Chief Justice told us. Mr. Sholmes, surely it can't be that having failed to have the accused convicted, Lord Van Zeeks killed the man himself? Oh no, he couldn't have, surely. You have some wonderful notions. Sorry? The man isn't a mass murderer. He's a court prosecutor, my dear fellow. Oh, yes. Why, of course he is. Of course he is. Then why are you trying to scare me? Yeah, seriously, why are we saying all of this to him? That's a good point. It could be said, however, that the real truth about the man is even more terrifying than your hypothesis. Eh? What on earth do you mean by that? Van Zeeks is a quite exceptional man. However, in London courts of law, exceptional does not equate to winning every case without exception. That's good. Seki-san looks like he's going to cry tears of joy. As you are no doubt aware, in a British criminal trial there is both a judge and a jury. The judge officiates based on the letter of the law, whilst the jury offers public opinion and common sense. It's an excellent system whereby the defendant's guilt is considered from several points of view. However, public opinion in particular is somewhat easily manipulated. Right. Criminals and corrupt lawyers, for that matter, can use it to their advantage, and by any means at their disposal, contriving evidence, calling imposters as witnesses, and so on. And by such underhand means, those who would want to are able to sway the jury, which means that even in the light of irrefutable evidence, the prosecution can fail. But it means the wrong verdict can be passed. And sadly is from time to time, my dear madam. It is simply the reality of the situation. And that's alright. However, those in... I can't read today, apparently. By Lord Van Zeeks cannot escape justice. Their fate is sealed. Oh my. Though the... you may see them leave the courtroom with their freedom. Within months, they all disappear. It's most striking. Disappear? But how? By all manner of misfortune, sir. Perhaps they are trampled under a passing carriage. Perhaps they fall into the Thames and drown. Perhaps they are suddenly overcome by raging fever, or perhaps attacked by highwaymen. Oh no, no, no. All examples of the reality of events here in London, I'm afraid, Mr. Naruhodo. That's so... Oh, yikes. Ah, I knew it. I'm a dead dodo, done for, doomed. Cursed lodgings. This is so fucking weird, man. So, I mean, but it's true though. Mr. McGill did die. Horrifically, by the way. So fucking weird. It's interesting though. When you said accursed lodgings before, you were referring to your room at Mr. Garadeb's house, I assume. Do you mean to say you believe the place is cursed? Ah, the sun's going down, that's good. It won't be as fucking hot in this room. It's been a year now since I came to Great Britain, but I'd only been in London a week before I started to notice strange feelings in myself. That didn't take long then. Everywhere I looked, there were foreign faces staring at me, laughing behind my back. I was sure people were talking about me. I started to become nervous about going outside. That sounds like anxiety, my dude. They were always staring at me, all the time, from dawn till dusk. So I shut myself away in my room. But even that didn't help. The fear wouldn't go away. That's definitely anxiety, my dude. You must have been very lonely, having been away from your homeland for such a long time. I've had to move a number of times, most recently to that room on Briar Road a week ago now. Yes, why did you choose there? It seems a little inconvenient. The rent is cheap. I have so little money, it appealed to me so right away. Words. Of course I asked why it was so affordable. The landlord just simpered and said, the room is cursed. Oops. He quickly tried to cover his mistake, but it was too late, so I told him, if you have something to say, then say it. But if not, don't mention it in the first place. Yes, well said. It was true, it was all true. You mean the room really is cursed, then? Ever since I moved into that windowless hellhole, my sleep has been plagued with nightmares. I awake feeling as though I've been choked to death. And in my waking hours, people are stabbed in front of me as I walk down the street. I'm branded a killer, thrown in prison. Nobody wants to know me. I'm surrounded by scary, sinister spirits. The alliteration is getting a bit much, man. If only there was someone, just one person on my side. Can no one find it in his or her heart to believe me? Believe in me? Really, no one at all. To believe, yes, to believe. We get a conversation about it. Mr. Sholmes. Ah, me, Mr. Naruhodo. Pray, what can I do for you? It's about the case on the SS Buria, if you recall. And the Buria. Ah, that case. The one with the snake. Well, yes. At that time, I was the suspect, but you believed in me and listened to my side of the story. And you helped us to investigate. I did I? Interesting. What I want to know is why. Why did you believe me? I see, yes, you mean... because you were a grimly dressed, shady Eastern fellow found with the victim in a locked room. Well, if you like, yeah. I'm a little surprised that the answer requires explanation, my dear fellow. It's quite simple really. You said I didn't do it. But I could have been lying. Surely you must have had your doubts. You must have suspected me a little. I think perhaps you have misunderstood. I neither recall believing in you, nor in that which you were telling me. What? You see, the only things I believe in are those I choose to believe in. Hey? What do you mean, Mr. Scholl? I'm very confused. I make up my own mind about what is to be believed and what is not. If I should like to believe in something, I do. The circumstances can change as far as I'm concerned. But I could have betrayed your trust. In that case, I should have made an elementary error of judgment, nothing more. Betrayal of trust is an overused excuse, in my opinion. Meaning? Whether or not one should trust another is, in the final analysis, down to oneself. It's a matter of whether or not one can trust oneself. Yes, yes, he's right. He's right, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Whether or not I can believe myself. That's interesting. A defense lawyer is only as good as his faith in his client. And that comes down to how much faith he has in himself. Oh, Kazuma, I miss you. You were so right, Kazuma. Oh, I miss him. I miss a fucking fictional character. Am I okay? Well, my dear fellows, it's time we were leaving, I believe. Already? And visiting hours are over. The guard will be here shortly to escort us out. There is a restaurant near here that serves excellent trout. Would you care to join me? Oh dear, there's never enough time, is there? Mr. Natsume? If you'd like, in the trial tomorrow. I'd be happy to represent you. Yay! Aww. Locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. As I said, I only experienced a British courtroom for the first time yesterday. If you're not okay for mixing it, if you're not okay for missing a fictional character, then I'm not okay either. Fair enough. Yeah, I think all Ace Attorney fans are in the same boat. I think everyone misses someone. Same goes for Danganronpa fans. We all miss someone in Danganronpa. As I said, I only experienced a British courtroom for the first time yesterday, and although the man I was representing was found not guilty, I lost sight of something crucial. Something crucial? What to believe in? The defendant, justice, or the truth? How to believe, even. But I think I've finally worked it out. I've decided I must believe in myself above all else, to trust my instincts. Yes, Mr. Naruhodo. And my instincts are telling me that you, Mr. Natsume, are innocent of this crime. It is imperative that we prove that in court. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, I will fight for your innocence until the bitter end, with every weapon available to me, so I hope you'll permit me to represent you tomorrow. As I said when we first met, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who will listen to me, in my native tongue. Of course, Mr. Natsume. It would be fair to say, Mr. Naruhodo, that your mind was, in many ways, made up from the outset. Yeah, you merely needed the events of today to fully realize it. Yes, I think you're right about that. It's been a roundabout journey, but I got there in the end. Miss Susato? Yes? Would you be willing to stand by my side tomorrow and help me in court? Absolutely. As I said this morning, you may consider me your personal judicial assistant. Aww. I love her too. I love Susato. Shocking events of yesterday's trial still weigh heavily on my mind, but it's time to stop looking backwards. Kazuma believed in me, and Mr. Sholmes believes in me now too. So it's time. Time that I learn to believe in myself. Suzuki-san has no one, he's all alone, so it's my job to help him, to fight his corner. The fist pump is great, I know, I love it. It's so cute. Tomorrow, in the courtroom, with all the strength I can muster. We need a Ryunosuke and Susato fist bump. Definitely. Aww, that would be so cute. To be continued. Save, yes. I'm guessing trial tomorrow. Or today, you know, next. Okay. Let's keep going. I just have a Pringle or two. I've not had much to eat today. flavour Pringles. Blue ones. Just salt and vinegar. They're the best ones in my opinion. I don't like all the crazy flavours that go everywhere. Like, I like to keep it simple, you know what I mean? Well, I never expected this. Who'd have thought we'd be back here again so soon? We are on a study tour of Great Britain with the intention of learning the country's legal practices. In order to research the latest course procedures here, we need as much court experience as possible. Well, yes, I suppose that's true, but for the person in the dock, it may as well be his or her one and only time in court, and it could be life-changing. In which case, treating it as research may seem a little crass. Yeah, I agree with that, honestly. Oh, when you put it like that, you're quite right. Good morning! I love salt and vinegar. Yeah, salt and vinegar chips. I guess you call them crisps. Yeah. We call fries chips. Although we also call them fries. Fries and chips are different things. But yeah. Crisps make more sense to me because they're crispy. It's like waterfall. It's water that's falling. It makes sense. It's the only part of the English language that makes sense. Good morning. Hey. Ah, Mr. Natsume. Good morning. Oh dear, are you alright? Your eyes are terribly bloodshot. The early bird catches the worm, as they say here in Britain. Yes, I've heard that expression. But I really don't want to catch a worm. Love how everyone has bow ties in this game. Yeah, I love bow ties. Bow ties are cool. So I tried desperately not to wake up early, but I was so worried I couldn't catch a wink. And now I'm absolutely exhausted as a result. Do all literary people take things so literally? Thank you for putting your faith in us today, Mr. Natsume. I wish I had 9 lives. My whole future hangs in the balance. I'm too terrified to tremble. Really? Because I can feel tremors in the floor. I can't do this. I can't take it. Although, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Yes. I caught a glimpse of the public gallery. I caught a glimpse of the public gallery as I walked by the courtroom. It looked like the opening night of the opera. There were so many people. Literally is Katrin's favourite word. Literally. I swear that wasn't on purpose. But no, I do love that word, to be fair. I had no idea my case was such a notorious affair here in London. Oh, neither did I. Do you know why that might be, Mrs. Otter? I'm sorry, Mr. Naruhodo, but I have no idea. So that all-knowing look on your face is just coincidence then, is it? Don't hide the truth from me. It's because of the Reaper, isn't it? Lord Van Zeeks. The word literally sounds better with a Welsh accent. It does, yeah. No, you're right. But I mean, I don't have a Welsh accent, even though I am Welsh, but... Because technically I have my dad's accent. I have my dad's English accent with some northern spins on it, but you know. But I do love the Welsh accent. I wish I had the Welsh accent, really. Lord Van Zeeks. Is that right, Mrs. Atto? I purchased as many different newspapers as I could find this morning, and yes, Lord Van Zeeks is on the front page of every one. I knew it! Sometime after the prosecutor was dubbed the Reaper of the Bailey, he stopped appearing in court, it seems. It's been several years now, in fact, until the day before yesterday. Yes, Inspector Gregson told us something similar, didn't he? I find it so weird that in the Ace Attorney universe, I find it weird how in the Ace Attorney universe, prosecutors and lawyers are hailed as celebrities, basically, right? Because I don't think I've ever in my life seen a prosecutor or a lawyer on the front page And definitely not as, like, this kind of news, you know what I mean? After a very long hiatus. The trial of Magnus McGilded. Oh, what a harrowing experience that was. Poor guy. I miss doing his accent. I believe that appearance made even greater waves here in the capital than today's. But we wouldn't have realised, of course, having only just arrived in the country. Why is the Reaper back in the Bailey so soon for what appears to be a mundane murder? That's the question the papers are asking, and they are all speculating various answers. Mundane? Mundane? It's the most significant saga of the century to some of us. Oh dear, I meant no offence, Mr. Natsume, but that is how the papers are describing it. Well, lest we forget the fact that I could spark an international incident. Obviously, the reappearance of this infamous prosecutor has caught people's attention. Is that a spider? No, it's not. Never mind. But there's another blatant similarity with the trial of 2 days ago. Yes, I agree. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. It's you. Me? Well, I suppose that's true. Both times it is you who stands against the legendary prosecutor. I always get my UK accents mixed up. There's so many of them. There's so many of them. But technically, yeah, technically there is only really 1 or 2 Welsh accents, really. There's a Northwest accent and there's the South Valleys accent for Welsh accents. Everyone else basically has what sounds like an English accent. I do like that you called my accent Welsh because I am Welsh. Yeah. So even though I have an English accent, I'm Welsh and it's my accent, so I like to call it Welsh. It's not technically Welsh though. But yeah. There's so many different accents. It can vary. I mean, I have friends with different accents, like who we grew up in the same place, but we have different accents. You know what I mean? Like, accents in the UK is so weird, and I don't even know all of them, to be fair. It can only mean that you're friends with the Reaper. Please, I don't rub shoulders with Deathbringers. I'm afraid that there's really only one other explanation. It can only be another example, Mr. Naruhodo, of your uncommon bad luck. Thanks for that. Oh, this is just my luck. Why must I be represented by a man with such frail fortune? I think it's more that Ryunosuke wants to... what's it? Ryunosuke wants to, represent people who don't have any representation, and this prosecutor guy no one wants to go up against him, so he does. I really like accents, probably because my voice basically has no accent. There is no such thing as no accent. There's no such thing as not having an accent. A lot of American people say that. Oh, I don't have an accent. Yes, you do. You have an American one. And it's like, it's specific as well. There's specifics to every single accent. It doesn't matter where you're from. It's always different. Always different. And there's always specifics. Yeah. But in my mind I have no accent, but that's not true, obviously, because in your mind I do have an accent. And it goes both ways. Everyone has an accent. Everyone has an accent. There's no such thing as not having one. Oh, this is just my luck. Why must I be represented? Oh, I've already read that. By the least lucky lawyer alive. Well, let's not forget that it was you, Mr. Natsume, who asked me to represent you. Yes, it's true that I'm just a student new to London with little in the way of experience or skills or luck. But I promise you this. I will fight your corner until the bitter end, and I will believe in you, Mr. Natsume. Oh, benevolent locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. You're not alone here with us, Mr. Natsume. Whatever happens, we will always be on your side. Oh, benevolent, non-locum assistant, Miss Mikotoba Esquire-S. I am in your debt forever. I shall never forget this great kindness for as long as I live. Mr. Natsume, counsel for the defense. The court session is about to begin. Please kindly make your way to the courtroom at once. Alright then, Mr. Natsume, it's time. Let's go. Sorry, just getting out some Pringles. Yes! Was it my second appearance in a British courtroom? Well, yeah, but my voice is very flat. If there were a voice with no accent, it would be mine, if that makes sense. It doesn't make sense, because there's no such thing as not having an accent. Because the way you speak is always going to be different. And everyone has a specific accent to themselves as well as where they live. So, like, it could be basic. Your accent could be basic, but so's mine. You know what I mean? I do get what you mean. I'm just being pedantic. But, like, there is no such thing as not having an accent. Not really. But, like, because when I watch your live streams, because I've watched your live streams before, right? You speak and you have a different accent to mine. And it's interesting. Those differences are really interesting. In the same way that you find my accent interesting in some ways, you know? But in both of our heads, we both have a very basic accent. Like, my accent is run-of-the-mill British. It's not... It's a mix of both Southern English and with some Northern stuff, and it's just run-of-the-mill. If you want a British accent, I've got a British accent. It's also not too posh, but it's not too rough. I use rough loosely. And it's also like... You know what I mean? Like, run-of-the-mill British. It's not fancy, it's not eloquent, it's not interesting in any way. But it's still an accent, and it's still interesting in terms of, like, my accent is mine. You know what I mean? And there's some interesting stuff in my accent that no one else has in their accents because of my unique upbringing with being with a very posh Southern English dad and a very not posh Northwest Welsh mum, and then I also have all the accents of my friends, and I went to a Welsh school, and Welsh schools have tons of people with tons of different kinds of accents in them, so I also have a bit of their accent in my accent, and so even though in my mind it's run-of-the-mill British, it's all like, it's all interesting in its own way, you know what I mean? So everyone has an interesting part to their accent. You could, like, I could delve into your accent if I had clips of you talking, and I could, like, tell you all the differences. If I knew anything about American accents, I obviously don't, but if I did, I could. Yeah, I get what you mean, yeah. My second appearance in a British courtroom, and my second trial against the Reaper. But I always find the accent thing really interesting, because a lot of American people say that they don't have one, which, yes, you do. I find it hilarious, because it's always the people who are like, oh yeah, my name's Ashley and I don't have an accent. Like, come on, you have an accent. I always find it hilarious when Americans say that, because American accents are so thick in my mind as a British person. Anyway, that's irrelevant. Aww. I hope you're watching over me, Kazuma. Because this time I won't let my faith waver. I'll believe in my client to the last. Just like you believed in me. I believe I can do this now. I'm ready for this fight. The fuck? I'm pretty sure that one is the guy from the last time. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defence to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is fully prepared, my lord. The defence is ready, my lord. The Nipponese are a truly fascinating breed. Breed? Sorry, what? Lord Strongheart has told me all about you. You are a student who arrived in London but 2 days ago, a mere amateur. Do you have a point? Being a compatriot, you feel compelled to try and help the accused, I suppose. Typical Nipponese arrogance. Honestly, dude, shut up. Forgive me, but I do not believe arrogance is an appropriate description. Zato-san. After all, at our previous encounter, the defendant was found to be innocent. Very true. And a most fascinating, if dark, trial it was, too. A tragic conclusion came later, of course. It is to the acquitted and his unfortunate violent end.
Okay, I found this on the web file.
Siri started talking then. See, it's the guy! It's the witness from the last case. Thank you, counsels. I see both sides are in fine fettle. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury! I've heard salt and vinegar flavoured crisps are more of a common flavour in the UK. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they're very common. Are they not common in America then? I guess that's the implication there. But like, it seems like a very basic flavour. It's the standard, really. There is ready salted, but that's basically the same as salt and vinegar, but more plain. I like ready salted Walker's crisps, and that's about it. Everything else I like salt and vinegar. Salt and vinegar squares, salt and vinegar hula hoops, salt and vinegar Pringles, obviously. But yeah, salt and vinegar everything else. I don't like salt and vinegar Walkers for some reason. I don't like the vinegar they use. I think you call them something different. I think in American they're Lay's or something like that. But, you know, standard crisps. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, are you ready to carry out your duties here in court as impartial members of the public? You never know when you might be down on your luck, but I believe in fair play for everyone. Hello, Mr. Fairplay. Well, I must warn you, I'm rather more ruthless than I appear. Oh, well, not me. What you see is what you get. I'm a peace-loving fellow. He looks familiar, too. I'm afraid to say I think it's quite possible that mustached foreigner did the deed. Also, this is clearly not biased. Come on, what are we waiting for? No doubt he did it anyway. Eh? Sorry, didn't quite catch that. Very well, let us proceed. They're not very good at picking jurors, are they? Your opening statement, if you please. Lord Van Zeeks. Very recently, Great Britain signed an alliance with rising power in the Far East. The accused in the dock today is a student from that same land, a certain Mr. Sozeki Natsume. And while our country has extended his foreign student the warmest of welcomes, regrettably the kindness has not been returned. In fact, this student is accused of a most sinister act. Whoa. Of plunging a knife into the back of an innocent woman who was doing nothing but walking down the street. A knife crime, I tell you from bitter experience, those are the worst. Bloody oath they are. Alright, fair play. Just look at the shallow complexion and oh my gosh, and short stature. He's one of those. Okay, that's just racism. Come on, let's get this over with. With me now, everyone. 1, 2, 3. Are you joking? Eh? Sorry? Didn't quite catch that. Like, they're not uncommon, but they're not as common as the original plain salted chips. Right, fair enough. We do have, like, regular salted chips as well. Crisps. Like, ready salted is what most people call them. Some people just call them lightly salted. It depends on the company. But salt and vinegar is the more common one, I think. Just because it's a bit more flavour. It's the same thing, but with more flavour. You know what I mean? Pray, forgive the discourtesy of smashing my hollowed chalice here in this great chamber. Stop doing things and then apologising as if it makes it okay. It's weird. Allow me to call the first witness to the stand. Very well. Bailiff, lead the inspector in, please. Your name and occupation, please. Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector at Scotland Yard. Would you please summarise the events of the case for the court, Inspector? The victim is thought to be a young woman in her 20s by the name of Olive Green. I beg your pardon, Inspector. Thought to be? That's what I said. Yes, having been stabbed in the back by her attacker's knife, the victim fell unconscious. That was 3 days ago now, and she's been comatose ever since. What? So they don't even know who she is for sure? Comatose, I see. But her life is not in danger. Fortunately for the Eastern students, the charge will not be murder. Pray, elaborate on the details, Inspector. Sir, if I could ask everyone to look at this street map. Dude, Gregson always makes me hungry with those chips. Yeah, literally. But it's so weird. He has a little thing of fish in there, and then he just pops it back up. Like, that's not how chips work. I wish that's how chips work. Oh my god. I love chips. I have some chips downstairs left over from yesterday. I might go get them next time we get a to be continued. As I mentioned, the incident took place 3 days ago at around 5 in the afternoon. It happened on the pavement running alongside Briar Road, a wide thoroughfare for horse-drawn vehicles. Did I have a look at it? I don't think I did. Although there's not really much to see. Yeah, no. Okay. Did I ever look at this? No, I didn't. Mr. Natsume, a sum of 2 shillings tendered in receipt of the picture of Monsieur meal for the Canterbury earnings. Sure. It happened on the pavement running alongside Briar Road, a wide thoroughfare for horse-drawn vehicles. It had not long since stopped snowing as the victim, Miss Green, was walking down the street. Out of the blue, she was approached from behind by the accused and stabbed in the back. Luckily, the young lady's life was spared, and she's currently being treated in one of the city's hospitals. But being unconscious as she is, we've been unable to take a statement from her, of course. This is the case file with everything we know about the victim so far. Let me see. Thank you, Inspector. The court will accept the documents as evidence, if you please. The case file has been entered into the court record. What of the weapon that was used? I'm going to look at the thing first. Young woman rendered unconscious following a stab wound to the back. Olive green female, stout build. Early 20s. Location, pavement of Briar Road, east side. Reporting officer, Rowley Beat. The victim remains unconscious. Her name was gleaned from her personal effects. Other details are unknown. Apart from the single stab wound from the large knife, no other signs of injury were observed. The assailant was seen running away by the reporting officer and was successfully arrested the following day. What of the weapon that was used? Sir, I have that here. It was removed from the victim's back. Ouch, that big thing is starting to make me scared to walk down the street now. With a heavy blade that like that, almost anyone could have been able to stab the poor woman. It's not windy today, which means there's no air coming in. With a heavy blade like that, almost anybody would have been able to stab the poor woman. Even this scratched-looking Suzuki-san, I suppose. A common or garden jackknife, I would say. Rather nondescript. Thank you, Inspector. The court accepts the blade as evidence. Okay. Now then, what do we know of the motive? Money or valuables, I presume? From what we can tell by looking at the woman's possessions, it seems like she's a poor student herself. Hard to imagine she would have had anything much worth pinching, my lord. I see. Well, in that case, are we looking at some deep-seated resentment towards the victim? I'm afraid I couldn't say. Apart from visiting second-hand bookshops, the defendant, Mr. Natsume, doesn't appear to get out much. At this moment in time, we haven't been able to establish any sort of connection between him and the victim.
Yes!
If theft and grievance have been ruled out as the motive, what reason could Mr. Natsume possibly have had for stabbing the young woman? Yet you arrested the man in spite of that, in a totally unjustified and heavy-handed way.
Objection!
Dude! What are you on? Pray forgive the discourtesy of flinging a freshly uncorked bottle into the public gallery. Saying pray forgive the discourtesy immediately after doing something deliberately does not excuse you from the fact that you did it. But your words have soured his hollow bouquet. For it is you, my learned friend, who is being heavy-handed here. What? Scotland Yard does not arrest people without good cause. That should be beyond question. Inspector Gregson, the prosecution calls for your formal testimony. Explain to the court precisely why the constabulary came to arrest the Nipponese student. Yes, sir. Excuse me. Okay, Mr. Natsume's arrest. As I said, it was 5 o'clock in the afternoon when the incident occurred, and there was an unusually light fog. Visibility was reasonably good, and there was no one about but the victim and the accused. Out of the blue, the victim was stabbed from behind and subsequently collapsed onto the pavement. The accused ran off, scattering his belongings all over the floor. Those being a number of old books he'd just bought. He was on his way home from a bookshop, it seems. It was just a matter of working out who the books belonged to, and we found the bloke to arrest him. Old books, you say? Yes, my lord. I have a photograph here of the scene of the crime, taken immediately after the incident. Ah, yes, I can clearly see the books to which you are referring. I will take that photographic print as evidence, please, Inspector. Crime scene photograph has been entered into the court record. Okay. Let's just look at all the stuff we have. What's with the point? Oh, look here, Mr. Naruhodo, just at the tip. A small piece of the blade appears to be missing. You're right, well spotted, Mrs. Otto. I wonder what could have happened to it. Yes, you don't think it could still be lodged in the victim, do you? Oh dear, I do hope not. That sounds terribly painful. Oh, interesting. Okay, there's literally nothing else here. I'm just gonna open it again. Come on, come on. Okay. That's it. There's nothing really particular here. I guess keep in mind the shoes she was wearing, the snow that's everywhere, and the books. Interesting. Yeah, already read that, never mind. Okay, let's keep going. Denying everything despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. Well, forgive me, Lord Van Zieks, but the defendant is not denying everything as you put it. What are you doing, Mrs. Otto? Do go on. Mr. Natsume has admitted to playing some part in the incident. Isn't that right, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, now you mention it. When we visited him in the prison yesterday, he did tell us what had all happened. As I was walking along that accursed pavement, I could make out the sole silhouette of another ahead of me. A woman wearing a green overcoat she was, and just as I went to overtake her, she suddenly let out a little scream and collapsed onto the cold, hard slabs of the stone at my feet. I was terrified. I had to get away from her. So I ran as fast as my legs would carry me back to my cursed lodgings. A green overcoat. Well, that's exactly what the woman in the print is wearing. Oh my, a photographic print in full colour. What will the world come up with next? The defendant has done nothing more than admit he fled the scene of a terrifying incident. That does not mean that he's guilty of the heinous crime of stabbing the woman in the back. There was nobody else there at the time, just the two of them, the victim and the accused. In other words, there is nobody else who could possibly have stabbed the woman. Except that that's not true because, you know, there are witnesses. A fact that the accused concedes. It seems this cross-examination could prove to be pivotal, counsel. Proceed, please. Yes, my lord. Nothing for it. I have to use cross-examination to turn the tables here. It's our only chance. Well, yeah, you do kind of have to do something immediately. Okay. As I said, it was 5 o'clock in the afternoon when the incident occurred. There was an unusually light fog.
Hold it!
Oh, light fog, you say? Well, light for London. You can see the opposite side of the street for once. Not much farther, though. That's light, is it? Around these parts, yeah. Not something I'd expect a Japanese fellow like yourself to know, of course. I read that London is famous for its fog. Is it actually? But in my country, people usually imagine that gives the city a rather beautiful appearance. How quaint. Yes, well, it's not something us Londoners tend to romanticize, as I expect you can appreciate. I see. At this time of year, the fog causes a large number of accidents, especially when it's heavy. Sometimes you can't even see your own hand at the end of your arm. Indeed, the other day I was very nearly trampled by a horse before I could see the carriage they were pulling. Oh, Sato-san and I should definitely remember to stop, look and listen. Gotta cross the road properly. However, on the day that concerns us, the fog was somewhat lighter than usual. A fact no doubt lamented by the accused. Visibility was reasonably good and there was no one else about but the victim and the accused.
Hold it!
Except for, you know, the witnesses. How are you able to state that with any certainty? Quite simply, my learned friend, because that is what the witnesses to this crime have told us. The fact that there are witnesses means that the statement is incorrect, surely. Ah yes, Inspector Gregson mentioned the witnesses yesterday, didn't he? That's right, one of them is a policeman, I believe, from Scotland Yard. That's correct, ma'am. Ma'am. Then we must hear their testimony. The prosecution will of course call them to the stand should it be necessary. But wait a minute. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon in the middle of winter, it would have been dark already. No matter how light the fog might have been, no one could have seen. I'm unaware of the situation in your tiny island in the east. We are also a tiny island. But here in the capital city of Great Britain, all main roads are illuminated in the night by gas streetlights. Oh. Prosecution believes there would have been ample light by which to witness the crime. Quite. Here in London, for the first time in history, mankind has completely conquered the darkness. Which means we really need to hear those witness statements. If I could just get through the fog of this cross-examination, maybe we'll be able to. It seems the counsel for the defence is taking stock. Continue with your testimony, Inspector.
Hold it!
From behind, you say? That's right, as you can see from the misprint. Yes, quite so, Inspector. The handle of the weapon is clearly protruding from the victim's back. And you say this poor woman, Miss Green, remains in critical condition, comatose no less. Why is there no blood? Like, there's no blood anywhere. I'm afraid so, my lord, yes. She's being treated at the Barts. Right, that's not his accent. I'm afraid so, my lord, yes. She's been being treated at the Barts. I was hopeful that she'd come around before the trial started so I could take a statement, but it wasn't to be. Yes, that's indeed a pity. It would have been most illuminating to hear the victim's own account of events. Luck is on your client's side, it seems. On the contrary, my client has been exceedingly unlucky. Your force of tone is seriously undermined by those disturbingly wide eyes, I'm afraid. Yikes. The accused ran off, scattering his belongings all over the floor.
Hold it!
Mr. Natsume's belongings. I think you'll find it's all there in the photographic print of the crime scene. Yes, the 3 books on the floor. That's right, my lord. Second-hand books they were. Irreparably damaged after falling in the snow, of course. Really? The accused could easily have carried all 3 books in one hand. Which means... could you? His other hand would have been free to wield a knife, for example. He's very clever, isn't he? What do you mean? He's made it extremely hard for you to assert that Mr. Natsume had his hands full with his books. He's managed to close the one avenue of escape we might have had before we even knew it was there. You mean to say that the defendant was holding his belongings as he thrust the knife into the woman's back? That must be what happened, my lord, yes. Those being a number of old books he just bought. He was on his way home from a bookshop, it seems.
Hold it!
Do they know anything about the bookshop? The defendant apparently visits a second-hand bookshop on a daily basis. Yes, so I understand. A shop full of old English literature. I commend the accused on the lofty subject matter of his scholarly attention. The bloke's room was stacked floor to ceiling with those musty old books. Can you tell us more about the bookshop in question, please, Inspector? Well, if I must, I'll have to ask you to look at the street map again, I'm afraid. Bourbon Books. The closest second-hand bookstop to the accused lodgings is this place here, Bourbon Books. A little place in the corner of Briar Road and Meersham Street. As it happens, the accused is currently living in the lodgings on the other side of Briar Road at the opposite end, which means it doesn't take genius to work out the route he would have taken home. Right. Something like this. Interesting, interesting. Yes, I concur with your conclusion, Inspector. The defendant would certainly have passed the scene of the crime on his way home from that particular shop. Mr. Naruhodo, I think that what the inspector just told us could turn out to be of vital importance. Yes, I agree. Let me just check. Your books. Yeah, he went to your books, not Bourbon Books. That's the contradiction. The most important point the inspector just made being bookshop's name. Inspector Gregson, may I ask you a favour? What? Would you kindly add the name of the bookshop to your formal testimony, please? I believe it may be of vital importance. Maybe? Oh, well, you know. I mean, yes, it could be a very important clue. Very well, not that I can see it being of any great significance. But please revise your testimony accordingly. Blah, blah, blah. Yes, sir, my lord, whatever you say. Could man be any more sardonic? Well, I don't know what that means. He was on his way home from Bourbon Books. Incorrect, sir.
Objection!
Objection! Oh, if I could just stop you there, Inspector Gregson. What is it, Sunshine? I'm a busy man, you know. This is a receipt that we found in Mr. Natsume's room. It was issued on the day of the incident and details the purchase of 3 second-hand books. And you found that in the accused room, did you? Yes, but the point is not where the receipt was found, but the name of the shop printed on it. Go on. A. This receipt was issued from a bookshop called Your Books. Your Books. Y-O-R-E, I presume. Yes, my lord. So Mr. Natsume did indeed purchase a number of books at a second-hand shop that day. However, the bookshop in question was not Bourbon Books. Eh? What? Inspector, did you know of this other bookshop? Yes, your books is another second-hand shop not far from the Bourbon Books. It's just that, well, it's such a small place, I didn't think the accused would have known about it. But in fact, that is the bookshop which the defendant visited on the day in question. And this receipt's proof.
Objection!
Yes, for what difference it makes. Wherever the man purchased his musty tomes, it makes no difference in the final analysis. I disagree. I mean, after all, I have the street map here, if that might be of help. Yes, thank you. Have a look at this please. If the defendants had been returning from Bourbon Books, then yes, he would most certainly have passed the place where Mr. Green was attacked. However, if we take into account the fact that he was actually at another bookshop, Your Books, it may very well turn out that he wouldn't have passed the location at all. Could that be true? My, it rather depends on where this other bookshop is, but I do declare it may be a possibility. Is that right, Mr. Lawyer, sir? What you just said? Absolutely, it absolutely could be right. Inspector Gregson, where is this Your Books establishment? Well, obviously we looked into that. Turns out that Your Books is just here on the corner of Mearsham Street, going east. So he could have gone either direction. And there you have it, as you can clearly see now. Oh. My learned Nipponese friend is obviously in training to be a clown the way he regals us with such Whitcombs. And to your future career in the circus. Girl, you put that glass down now or I'll put it down for you. I didn't think I needed to spell it out, but here we go. If the accused was coming home from Your Books instead of Bourbon Books, there's no doubt he still would have passed the place where the victim was stabbed. Yes, thank you, Inspector. Allow me to reiterate for my learned, if somewhat slow Nipponese friend. Well, he could have gone the other way. Wherever the man purchased his musty tomes, it makes no difference in the final analysis. Got all the crumbs. There we go. As I suspected, you can't fool me, and I don't suggest you try. What did I say, eh? I've had enough of this now. I beg your pardon? I'm terribly sorry, but would you mind repeating that? Astradigitalarts, todo, we mustn't give up. What would you mean? If the prosecution's assertion is correct, the members of the jury may very well decide that Mr. Natsume is guilty. Ah. We must consider the assertion just put forward by the prosecution very, very carefully. Yeah. I didn't actually read that. The claim Soseki-san must have passed the location of the incident on his way home from Your Books. Yeah. The assertion just made by the prosecution is fundamentally flawed. Explain yourself, counsel. Yes, my lord. You can see what I mean on this map. When returning from Your Books to his lodgings, Mr. Natsume could have followed the route suggested by the prosecution. However, this isn't the only conceivable route to take between the two places. If the defendant used these streets, look what happens. He arrives back at his lodgings without passing the location where the victim was attacked. Talking back to a clown is a fool's errand, of course. However, I feel compelled to point out that that route is what is commonly referred to as the long way around. Huh. On a cold winter's night, why would any man choose to take the longer route home? Well, the answer is extremely simple. He wouldn't. In other words, well, I mean, you could. Maybe that's just the way that you know. You go the way you know. I always go the way I know. I'm pretty sure there's quicker ways, but I always go the way I know. The accused took the obvious route back to his lodgings, as is the obvious perpetrator of this crime. But, aha, yes, I've got it. Obviously, we must ask the man himself. Ask Mr. Natsume which route he took home. I've already informed the court of the accused's response to such questioning, and claims he has no recollection. Huh. That's right, as I said, the bloke seems to spend his time outside wandering aimlessly from A to B. That day was no exception. He says he doesn't remember where he was or which route he took home. I don't believe this. Well, if he wanders aimlessly, then he wouldn't have taken the most efficient route. Then there's no. If he doesn't remember, it's not guaranteed. It's still not guaranteed. You can't convict a man when it's not guaranteed. I thank you, my learned friend, and suggest that we do not waste any more of the court's time by wandering aimlessly around this subject. Pray, what say you, insightful jurors? But even if that is the case, the defense still... Fair play. I agree with Lord Van Zeeks. Fuck off. Wholeheartedly and in every way. What? I don't believe it. Does this mean? We members of the jury are completely convinced now. Really? Very well. In that case, I hereby call upon all members of the jury to present your findings to the court.
Guilty!
Guilty.
Guilty!
Guilty. Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty. Wow. It happened all at once. It would appear the jury's leaning is unanimous. To the insightful members of the jury, I applaud your brave resolve. You serve Queen and country admirably. Mr. Naruhodo? No, not yet. This isn't over yet. I still have one last chance to sway the opinion of the jury. I have to tip the balance of the scales the other way. I have to turn this around. Somehow. Those are the eyes of a quarry not yet willing to give up and die. So I presume you intend to wield your rights again in this trial. Rights of the defence written into a antiqued British law that should have been buried long ago. Call it antiqued if you will, but it's the defence's prerogative to carry out a summation examination if it so chooses. Very well, counsel. In accordance with the letter of the law, we shall proceed with the summation examination. Are the members of the jury ready, Mr. Foreman? Mr. Foreman? Oh, I guess that's just the name they give the... yeah, whatever. Of course we're ready. I'm all too familiar with that Nipponese whippersnapper and his uncas refusal to throw in the alley. Very well then. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will each explain on what grounds you have determined the defendant to be guilty. jurors' contentions. For pity's sake, that little Nibonese oddity already admitted it himself, didn't he? If he said that a woman in green collapsed before his eyes, why, it could only have been the victim. The man wouldn't have gone around the houses on his way back from the bookshop, not in winter. So the poor woman was attacked from behind. Was she? How dreadful. I really don't care. Can't we just wrap this up now? I've got work to be doing. Your books, yes. Nice shop, that. But bourbon books? No, not worth a visit. Interesting. I have no idea what I'm going to be doing. Whoops. Got crumbs all over my desk now. With only minor exceptions, the reason for finding the defendant guilty are all too clear. When the stabbing occurred, the only two people at the scene were the victim and the accused. And the accused himself has admitted to seeing the victim in her green overcoat sink to the ground before his eyes. Furthermore, we have heard from the inspector that the defendant then fled the scene. I must say, I would have ample ground to convict this man already. Oh dear, even the judge appears convinced of Mr. Natsume's guilt now. Why did he have to run away like that? Oops, I didn't read that. Hold on. And how are we supposed to believe in some phantom attacker that nobody could see? This is impossible. How can I possibly make a case for the defense? Mr. Naruhodo, this is no time for grumbling. If we want to force the trial to continue... Yes, I know, I have to turn the tide. I must make the jurors change their minds. Well, 4 of them at least. Exactly. You have no choice but to forge forward. You have the full counsel. Begin your summation examination. Yes, my lord. I just need to keep this trial going somehow. Whatever it takes. Come on, Ryunosuke, you can do it. Fucking Gregson with his chips, making me want to eat everything I have around me. Okay, let's do this. Defense's rebuttal. For pity's sake, that little Nipponese oddity already admitted it himself, didn't he? If he said the woman in green collapsed before his eyes, why, it can only have been the victim. The man wouldn't have gone around, you can press these statements. I didn't know you could do that. The man wouldn't have gone around the houses on... Okay, let's press the first one.
Hold it!
Excuse me, but aren't you... Yes, that's right. I was in the witness stand myself just 2 days ago. Yes, I had a feeling I knew your face. Or the side of it, anyway. If I remember correctly, you're a banker, aren't you? That's right. This is another good tune. Yeah, I like it as well. That's right. After the gold rush down under, I came back to London to work. It is cool. Ooh. I never paid attention to it before. But it's actually quite cool. I like the snare drum. Yeah. Came back to London to work. It was all going swimmingly until you started frisking around. Bruce Fairplay was a man of repute. Sorry? Don't think I've forgotten how you treated me the other day. You had me and that young hatter pegged as criminals. Oh, well, you know, water under the bridge. So I'm back with tea. Nice. Tea is good. Wow, there's all sorts of... Well, now there's all sorts of rumours buzzing around, and the police have been badgering me non-stop. The man's mustache is something else. It really is. Interesting sideburns. He, like, has sideburns, and then a mustache as well that goes up here, but he doesn't have... This is very strange. It's interesting. Police have been badgering me non-stop. If I could turn back the clock... Well, anyway, I don't know about the hatter, but at least I'm in the clear now. And free to make up my own mind about who's guilty and who isn't. Thank goodness. Alright, maybe I might struggle to change this man's mind, given our awkward history. Oh dear, I wonder what's become of Mr. First now. If he said that a woman in green collapsed before his eyes, it could have only been Victor. Let's press that as well. You're right that at the time of the incident, the defendant admits to have seen someone wearing a green overcoat walking ahead of him. Well, quite, that's precisely my point. Clearly that someone wearing green was the victim. And clearly that funny little Nipponese man with a disturbing moustache is the culprit. But let's not forget, madam, the defendant vehemently denies attacking the woman. Why, of course he does. If he admits to stabbing her, his life is over. The man is obviously a liver-faced coward, honestly, claiming the woman simply collapsed before his eyes. But if that's a lie, as you're suggesting, do you not think he would have concocted something more credible? I really couldn't say. After all, you are foreign. Who's to say what goes through your funny little minds? Well, that's, you know, racist. I could tell you what's going through my funny little mind right now, but you wouldn't like it. I do declare the man has already made the admission. He himself has stated that there was nobody else around. Surely the conclusion is obvious. No one else could have possibly committed this awful crime. If no one else could have done it, the accused must be the man. Really, it couldn't be more simple. Your argument is compelling in its simplicity, I must admit. Oh my, you are too kind, my lord. That went well, for her. The man wouldn't have gone around the houses on his way back from the bookshop, not even later. But you can't deny that there are other routes that Mr. Natsume could have taken back from your books. Oh yes, like you drew on this map, you mean. What was it? Calabash Road or something? Precisely. But it seems to me that what counts is whether the little Japanese fellow actually went that way or not. Well, yes, that's true. And at the moment, there's no proof that shows he did, is there? There's no proof that shows he didn't? Yes, that's true as well. As I understand it, the accused himself doesn't remember which way he went, does he? Well, yes, that's annoyingly true. Winter nights are dark and cold, so the way I see it, you'd want to get home as quickly as possible. Well, yes. And why is all this true? So really the only thing that makes sense is that he went home along Briar Road. I'm supposed to be convincing you here. I've given it a lot of thought, you know. I didn't just make up my mind on a whim that he did. I mean, if there was some logical reason why he might have gone through Calabash Road Way, it'd be different. I'd be happy to reconsider my position in that case. Honestly, I would. Reason why Saseki-san might have taken the longer way home. Yes, a good reason. I don't imagine you'll be able to sway this young man's opinion without one. Okay, so that's one that we could do. The poor man was attacked from behind, was she? Poor woman was attacked from behind, was she? How dreadful.
Hold it!
Whatever is the matter, young man? You're the wife of Mr. Garadeb, aren't you? The landlord who rents Mr. Natsume his room. The master's wife? Where do you get your ideas, sir? I'm the maid. The maid, do you understand? She's keeping up that charade. Oh, this is going to be awkward. Why didn't you mention this yesterday? That you'd been selected from the jury in this trial, I mean. Well, I was told not to mention it to anyone until the day of the trial, you see. It was in the letter I received. The instructions were very clear, so I'm afraid I had no choice. I see. Anyway, Mr. Natsume, the defendant, takes lodging in your master's house, doesn't he? Yes, that's right. Although he's only been in a little over a week now. And in that time, surely you must have taken stock of his character. Does Mr. Natsume look like the kind of man who would commit a crime such as this? Oh my goodness me, yes, he's just the sort. Not going your way, mate. Spending all his time in the dark and dingy room, sporting that unscrupulous moustache. The man never speaks, and don't get me started on those shifty eyes. All the neighbours are talking about him. I've heard them, you know. People think he must be building a bomb in there or something. Oh dear, poor Mr. Natsume. How could people say such things about him? He's just a harmless bookworm. Nothing more. Well, you just called him a worm, so... Anyway, I'd better be careful about inviting this maid to speak. She's said enough damning things already. Really don't care. Can we just wrap this up? I've got work to be doing. A man's life is on the line here, sir. This will take as long as it takes. Don't get clever with me now, son. My life's on the line too, and so's my family's. Ah. The likes of you wouldn't understand, but a labourer like me can't afford to take time off. If I don't work, I don't eat, and neither do the wife and kids. Oh, I see. That must be very hard. I go to the union every morning to find out what needs doing. If you're late and the work's taken, it's tough. This time of year, there's water and gas supply pumps bursting left, right and centre. They're after cheap labour to get the roads dug up to fix it. It's hard slog from dawn till dusk, it is. So you're out digging up the roads on the day of the incident as well, were you? That's right. This man's beard's glorious. Look at it. Brilliant. In fact, if I remember rightly, it was just round the corner from where it all happened. By that old bookshop it was. What? Another coincidence? That's right, Mearsham Street. Mearsham Street. On the map, Mr. Naruhodo, there are only 3 named streets. Juror number 5, I need you to add that information to your formal statement, please. What's the point in that? Can't we just get this business over with? Please, sir, it's important. Fine, I'll do it then. On the day it happened, I was digging up Mearsham Street from dawn till dusk. I'm gonna press that. So if I understand correctly, you're a day labourer and you were doing road maintenance that day. That's right, like I said, you get a lot of burst gas and water pipes around underground in the middle of winter. It's the only time of year fellows like me can actually make a few bob, and I'm missing out today. And when you say from dawn till dusk, well, the work has been completed within the day, see. No coaches or pedestrians can pass while it's happening. Wonder if I could trouble you, sir, to mark on the street map the exact location of the works you were carrying out. Give it here then, let me have a look. Ah. Right, let's see then. Here we are, Mearsham Street. Yeah, it was just here, like. It was a tidy dig, I can tell you. We had to get through all the drifts of snow that had fallen, whatever. And what sort of time of day did you finish work? Well, we started in the morning. We can't have finished before gone 6, I'd say. Snow had stopped coming down, but it was long past dark for sure. Means the roadwork was still going on when Miss Green was attacked at around 5. Roadworks on Mearsham Street, huh? Well, that's our first one. There we go. Pit. Mum would have gone around the houses on the way back from this bookshop, not in winter.
Objection!
Objection! Those two statements are clearly at odds with one another. At odds, counsel. Explain yourself. Please don't point. It wasn't me, I swear. Eh? What? Oh, I just want to get this done and dusted. Well, juror number 3? Oh, me, sir? What? What do you mean? Juror number 5's words just now are extremely significant. Let's take a moment to consider the implications of what's been said on our map of the local area. On the day in question, Mr. Natsume visited this bookshop to purchase a number of second-hand books. And on the same day, we know that there were works being carried out on Mearsham Street, making it impossible, which means that the defendant's route home could not have taken him along Mearsham Street and down Briar Road. Oh, yes, of course. What do you think, sir? Well, yes, you can't argue with that, really, can you? We must have had a good 2 yards or more of the pavement up. Every gentleman and gentlewoman that came along had to turn back and go the other way. So the only conclusion is this: the defendant must have taken the longer route back to his lodgings. Yes, I suppose he must have. I suppose that must be right, eh? Juror number 3, you said the following. The man wouldn't have gone around the houses on his way back from the bookshop. But we see now that he had no choice. My lord must judge, sir, if I may. Yes? I don't think in all good conscience that I can say the man's guilty now. Yes, I'd like to see this trial continue so we can get to the bottom of what really happened. Hey. What about you, sir? Who, me? Well, Alright then, if there's a hole in the prosecution's arguments, it should be filled in, that's what I say. Okay. Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo. That was wonderful. Well, we've managed to change a couple minds at least. It strengthened our position somewhat. I'm going to take 2 seconds and I'm going to reply to a thing. Seconds, sorry. Sorry about that. Just wanted to reply to that before. What? I didn't send that. I didn't send that in the chat. That's hilarious. I sent that about an hour and a half ago. Well, my internet has been up for about an hour and a half, so that's a bit strange that that's sent now. But there we go. I'm gonna just very quickly... Can I delete that? I don't know how to. Yeah, no idea, man. Fucking weird. Well, there we go, I suppose. It just is what it is, I suppose. Well, we managed to change a couple minds at least. Strengthened our position somewhat. Yeah, it's fucking weird. My internet has clearly been working for an hour and a half because you guys have been watching it since then, so... Very strange. But there we go. I guess because I went on my phone, I unlocked my phone, and that's where I sent it from. Or something, I don't know. Fucking weird. Yes, and it will prompt the other members of the jury to reconsider their stance as well. They'll be asking themselves if their current learnings are actually right or not. Now, if only we could just identify one more clue or discrepancy that would make them stop doubting Mr. Natsume. We might be able to tip the balance completely. Yes, that's exactly what we've got to do. Manzix is looking to bring this trial to an early conclusion. That's what we have to prevent by whatever means we have at our disposal. Thank you, Counsel. On with the summation examination, please. Yes, my lord. Okay. Whether it's digging up the roads or digging up the truth, you gotta see through to the end.
Hold it!
Fold it, you say? Fold what? No, what I said was hold it. What I wanted to ask was, do you visit your books often? I like the old books they have in there, yes. I enjoy reading them over a nice cup of old tea. That's my daily routine, you see. Same thing every day, including the day you're all talking about. And at what time did you visit your books on the day in question? This is not how the jury is meant to work, I just want to point that out. Well, I was picking out books in there all afternoon, and I've just, would have just been just before 5 that I left. That's my daily routine, you see. The same thing every day, including the day you're all talking about. Just before 5, you say, exactly when the victim was attacked. Are you sure about the time? Oh yes, no mistake there. I remember it well. I'm not about to forget that day in a hurry, not after the dreadful time I had. What do you mean? Well, I was walking down Clabberdash Road when I slipped in the ice and donked my head. It's always worse after the snow stopped falling, that's when it's most slippery. Knocked myself clean out, I did. I really thought my number was up. Wait a minute, let me get this straight. This happened on Clabberdash Road. That's right, I live in Cornpipe, you see. Heading down Clabberdash Road is the quickest way for me to get back from your books. Juror number 6, I must insist that you add that information to your formal statement. It may very well be extremely significant. Sorry, extremely sick. No, I'm quite alright now. Very funny. You've changed 2 of the jurors' minds, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, just 2 more to go. Deliver the finishing blow now. It's time to turn the tables here. I wish I knew how to do a Susato takedown. I suppose words will have to suffice for now. I haven't seen one in a while, a Susato takedown. Wait. He's in green! It could have been him. It could have been him.
Objection.
Those 2 statements clearly show a flaw in the juror's reasoning. A flaw? What are you talking about, counsel? Well, juror number 2, juror number 6. My, whatever do you mean, sir? I think perhaps the old man didn't hear you. Unbelievable. It's not like I was loud or anything. There's at least one fact of which we can be sure here. The bookshop receipt found in the defendant's room clearly indicates that on the day of the attack, he had been to your books and purchased a number of second-hand titles. He then returned home on foot. The man says he has no recollection of his return journey. That's correct. But what he does remember is seeing someone appear in front of him on the way. Someone in a green overcoat who suddenly collapsed on the pavement before his eyes. Yes, we're all well aware of this. The poor young woman who was stabbed, obviously. Objection. Can we really be sure of that, madam? My, whatever do you mean? I'm sure you heard juror number 6's account of what happened to him that day. That same afternoon, there was somebody else apart from the victim who was wearing a green overcoat and who fell over on the icy streets in the neighborhood. Oh my! My goodness, you mean... That's right, I'm referring, of course, to hard of hearing juror number 6. Are you really suggesting that the person in the green overcoat, whom the defendant saw collapse in front of his eyes, was the jolly old gentleman at the end of the bench here with me today? That is entirely possible, yes. After all, the old man has a somewhat similar build to the victim. Well, look at that. My goodness me. Sorry, you need a pee? No, that is not what she said. And crucially, we know precisely where the old man in the green overcoat fell. On Clabberdash Road. Calabash Road. Therefore, if the person who Mr. Natsume saw collapsing in front of him was in fact juror number 6, it means the defendant must have taken the long route back to his lodgings. And if that's true, then clearly the crime scene on Briar Road where the woman was stabbed was not on his way home. Ooh. You idiot old man, if you hadn't been so daft as to be roaming out there, we'd have boxed this off hours ago. And really, what were you oh, sorry. And really, what were you thinking? Wearing such a befuddling coat? What did you say to me? Is it a crime for the elderly to walk the street these days? Is it a crime to slip over on the ice? Is it a crime to keep up with the latest styles and wear a beautiful green overcoat, is it? My lord, I do hope I won't cause any inconvenience, but... You'd like to change your leaning, I presume? I do declare that I would. I should like to call for a verdict of not guilty. Thank you. And I would too. What? Is it a crime to change your mind, is it? Well... Fair enough. Hey. Well, that summation examination has concluded with a rather large shift in opinion. The yeas to the nose... The yeas to the nose for, so the nose have it, not guilty, they say. Which means we no longer have a consensus among the members of the jury. The trial will continue.
Objection!
Whoops. Could it seem churlish of me to drink from my hallowed chalice moments after raising an objection? Only to crush it in disgust. Pray forgive the discourtesy. You fucking weirdo. Sorry. Lord Von Zeeks. I think my internet may be bugging out again. Is my internet bugging out? I can't tell. I keep saying on OBS that it is, but it's not. But it is. I'm very confused. I'm just gonna keep going. Seems I must retract my earlier remark. What do you mean? I mistakenly credited these jurors with intelligence by describing them as insightful. Yet we have just witnessed them falling for a cheap trick performed by an Eastern entertainer. Eh? Whatever do you mean? I haven't tricked anyone. Everything I've said is the truth. Indeed, stalwart juror number 5 was undoubtedly repairing the road, as he claims. I believe you said it was a good 2 yards of the pavement which you had evacuated, sir. That's right, it took me the whole day and they paid me a measly 2 pence for it. Now, my learned Nipponese friend, tell me, do you have any notion of the distance that 2 yards represents? Well, if I'm honest, I don't have a clue, no. 2 yards is a little less than 2 meters. Less than 2 meters? That's not much at all. In other words, a distance readily vaulted by anyone of moderate vigour. Would you not agree, my stalwart friend? Eh? Me? Well, I can't say you're wrong, no. And did you, perchance, erect a sign to prevent pedestrians from passing the site of your works? Eh? I wouldn't dream of it. What a waste of time. No coaches would have had a hope of passing anyway, and we just turned any gentlefolk back when they came. Kids just jump right over us all the time. The accused is no gentleman, as far as I can see. I have little doubt, however, that he could spring over a 2-yard trench in his meanderings downtown. Is that true, is it? The incontrovertible truth is that the books just purchased by the accused were found at the scene. There can be no doubt that on his way back to his lodgings, Mr. Natsume walked down Briar Road. Crushed in a single sentence. And, old man, you can talk. You say that around 5 o'clock on the day in question, you slipped and fell on Clabberdash Road. Pray, was there a suspicious-looking Nipponese one-eyed you at the time? Oh, I, can't say as I remember. You don't remember? How about a wager, my learned friend? You say it was this old man that the accused saw. But I would lay 1,000 to 1 against you being able to prove it. Yikes. Order! Order! Lord Van Zeeks, explain yourselves. My lord? If you had such a trenchant argument up your sleeve, why in the world did you not proffer it during the summation examination? I wanted to give this young foreign student the sightseeing experience he no doubt came for. I wanted him to see for himself how the opinion of the jury is so readily swayed. But my hospitality has its limits, and they have been reached, I feel. Ooh. So, my learned friend, today's sightseeing tour of London is now over. What are you talking about? My lord, the prosecution requests permission to call its next witness to the stand. Granted. Bailiff, bring forth the witnesses. Its next witness? Mr. Naruhodo, do you not remember? We've been told on several occasions that they were eyewitnesses to the incident. Yes, I remember, one of them being a Scotland Yard policeman, no less. I'm afraid that's likely to be the prosecution's next witness. Alright. No matter who Van Zeeks brings to the stand as a witness, and no matter what they say, I believe in Sozeki-san. I know he's innocent, and I'll keep believing to the very end, until this battle is over. Hi. That man is a trusted... Okay. Witnesses, please state your names and occupations for the court. Constable Rowley Beat, sir. Nothing to report on the street, sir. Oh yeah, real reliable. And I'm Mrs. Beat. Patricia's my name. I'm proud to say I'm Miss Young Town Hero's wife. What's the story here? Well, in truth, we've not been married long. In fact, we celebrated our first anniversary only the other day. Is he eating his hat? No, it was your husband I was asking about. He seems tired. Hardly surprising. Sleepy lad, literally. Whilst being an honourable occupation, patrolling the beat is the most demanding work in the world. Oh really? I'm sure I've heard that before, actually. Indeed, apart from rare days off, our gallant officers trudge some 20 miles a day, you know. They patrol boarding houses and pubs, collect taxes, survey the streets, check the meters and check that the meters are reading true. And they're responsible for keeping the streets clean and lighting and extinguishing our streetlights. There are a number of items on that list that don't sound much like policing duties at all. I wouldn't just be falling asleep on my feet, I'd have collapsed long ago. But it goes without saying that a policeman's primary duty is the apprehension of certain... sorry, I'm trying to get... I like to match the amount of pink ones I get with the amount of white ones I get. Sorry. But it goes without saying that the policeman's primary duty is the apprehension of criminals. Even when he's off duty, a constable is expected to investigate and resolve any crimes on his beat. For the London Bobby is a man of honour. And a man of slumber. On the day in question, this man and his wife were walking down Briar Road in the opposite direction, and they witnessed the incident as it occurred. Is that not correct, Mr. and Mrs. Beat? That's right, sir, isn't it, Rolly? Rolly Beat? Constable Rolly Beat, sir, nothing to report on the streets, sir. What a great witness is going to be. Very good. I'd like to hear your formal testimonies now, please. You will tell the court exactly what you saw on the afternoon of the incident. Yes, sir! Someone gets that man a hat that fits, literally. It's and one that's not literally taped together, oh my. What the witnesses saw. It was our wedding anniversary, and Rolly was taking me out for a meal. There was no time to change after work. Anyway, two silhouettes appeared out of the fog on the pavement in front of us. All of a sudden, one of them just collapsed on the floor, then the other scattered something before running off. We ran straight over, of course, and then went for help at the nearby police box. It was definitely that Japanese man in the dock. Rolly and I both saw him clear as day. Well, this is an extremely compelling testimony, I must say. She literally has stars for pupils, I know. Strange people. These people are apparently reliable witnesses. I wouldn't say they are. Oh dear, this policeman and his wife are claiming to have positively identified Mr. Natsume at the scene. If their testimony is true, the alternative course of events that you established in the summation examination will be quashed. It's definite nil, in fact, because that alternative was never viable in the first place. What an unfortunate bechancing. And on your wedding anniversary too. Oh, I know, but I still managed to go out for the evening with my man. I thank the Lord for that. Gosh, the life out of a London bobby sounds very hard indeed. Indeed, however... This cross-examination will be over in minutes. You may well have time to rest this afternoon. What do you mean by that? My learned friend, the witnesses saw the face of the man fleeing the scene. They are testifying under oath that it was without a doubt the accused, Mr. Suzeki Natsume. One of these witnesses is a policeman, no less, so you appreciate the gravity of the situation, I'm sure. Yikes. Except that the man's so tired his wife has to do all the talking. Enough preamble. Counsel for the defence, commence the cross-examination, please. Yes, my lord. Interesting. My OBS keeps freaking out, saying that the bitrate keeps varying, and I don't know if that's, like, affecting things. If it is, I'm sorry. It says everything's excellent, and yet the graph is insane. Anyway, what the witnesses saw. It was our wedding anniversary, and Rolly was taking me out for a meal. There was no time to change after work.
Hold it!
No time to change after work, you say? Are you also a member of the police, Mrs. Beat? Oh no, sadly not. It's a job for strapping young men only. Women, children, and the elderly can't even apply. That's stupid. Well, I think you can probably see why children and the elderly can't do the job, can't you? I think Rolly looks ever so handsome in his uniform. It suits you down the ground, doesn't it, darling? What? I just finished my beat. Pat and I were heading down to the station. I was actually planning on getting changed there. Is he talking in his sleep? This is creepy. Oh no, Rolly, I much prefer you in uniform. Sometimes I don't recognise you when I see you in plain clothes. Oh dear, that doesn't seem healthy. Yeah, no, not really. Yet another unhealthy relationship on our hands in this case, it seems. Kindly adhere to the point. You were going for a meal after you'd finished your beat for the day, correct? That's right, sir, yes. Although I was fit to drop, to be honest, after spending the whole day on my feet. There's two marriages in this case where the wife wears the pants, literally. Yikes. But policing is my life, sir. As long as I'm the proud owner of this, I'll serve my city and my queen to the end. What's that now? My warrant card, sir. Proof that I'm a London copper. As the noble founding principles of the force written on it as a reminder to all as policemen of our sworn duty. To patrol the streets of London town and uphold the peace of the common man. Sir, for such a noble cause I cover 20 miles every single day without fail and without a grumble. Because I know that the plodding in my boots is all Londoners need to hear to feel safe and secure. Yeah, I know, if that is how people actually viewed the police that would be cool, but that's not unfortunately how the police works. Yikes. So, fighting crime doesn't appear to come into it then. But sir, just on that one particular day I was looking forward to celebrating my wedding anniversary. Mrs. B puts up with a lot being married to a bobby like me. I wanted to show my dear wife how much I care. Oh, Pat. Oh, Rolly. Fucking weirdos, oh my god. Oh, what a charming couple. Their young love is such a joy to behold. If a little over the top, perhaps. And then, kindly describe what happened next. Anyway, two silhouettes appeared out of the fog on the pavement in front of us.
Hold it!
Two silhouettes? That's right, they were coming towards us, walking up Briar Road in the opposite direction. There was a rather plump figure followed by a scrawny, thin-looking man. Well, it could be, I guess. That does sound exactly like the victim as pictured in this print, and like Mr. Natsume. Well, he's not scrawny. He's like regular. Yes, unfortunately it does. And you ascertain that at the time there was no one else nearby. Oh yes, quite certain. It was dark, but there are street lights on Briar Road, you see. There was nobody else around at all. Isn't that right, my darling? What? Yes, that's right. Of course, there was a light fog on the ground. The Briar Road is dead straight and you can see a fairly long way up down the pavement. And then there's a street lighting as well. I didn't see any other pedestrians. Before sleep takes firm hold, your answer, please. Mr. Bate, are you quite sure of what you've just said? Yes, sir. As a copper who spends all day, every day, keeping watch on the streets, I'd swear to it. Sir. Sir. Yes, sir. I am as sure as my love for Patricia is true. Oh, Pat. Oh, Rolly. Oh, they're still maintaining there was no one else around other than the victim and the attacker. It's starting to seem like that must be how it really happened. It's beginning to seem like there's nowhere to run. Well, that didn't stop Mr. Natsume, did he? He fled the scene all too convincingly. Thank you. I believe we have a reasonably clear idea of the situation just before the incident now. What happened in the crucial moments that followed? All of a sudden, one of them just collapsed on the floor, then the other scattered something before running off. Scattered something. Interesting.
Hold it!
Scattered something. What do you mean by that? Oh, well, I couldn't quite make out what it was at the time, but when we got closer, we realised what it was. Didn't we, darling? What? Ah, yes, that's right. It was some old books. I see, old books. Yes, sir! The culprit had dropped a number of them, all around where the victim lay on the pavement. Indeed, as clearly pictured in this photographic print. That rotten Japanese man did that when he did the deed.
Hold it!
So he scattered them deliberately. Let's not forget that it remains to be established that the defendant was indeed the attacker. But we saw him, it was the man in the dock without question, sir. The moustache, the hunched back, the cat-like eyes, the taut mouth, the snub nose, everything. Any more insults you want to throw in? That's right, he looked down at that poor defenseless woman with his terrifying, intense eyes, and then suddenly threw his books onto the pavement and ran away. He threw them on purpose. This is tough. They seem as though they're telling the truth here. May I remind the court that this unambiguous testimony comes from a policeman and his wife. Now please continue. Yes, sir! We ran straight over, of course, and then went for help at a nearby police post.
Hold it!
Was it your husband who went to fetch help? No, I went. I may not be a police officer myself, but I'm the proud wife of one after all. Isn't that right, my darling? What? Yes, that's right. I asked Mrs. Bate to go. I was off duty by that point, but a Poppy's never truly off duty,